We'll get started on our back. So lie down and find your triple S. We'll have the knees bent. We'll use a block, 2 if you've got them, and have at least 1 block nearby coming onto our backs. Now feel the back of the skull lift up toward the back of the mat. Feel the chin slightly draw down toward the throat. Feel the shoulder blades, the sacrum. And as you're here, maybe with the hands on your ribs or at your sides, let's take a few breaths into the rib cage as you inhale. Visualize the rib cage expanding side to side as you breathe in. Exhaling it out. Visualize those ribs coming back in a little bit. Inhale, breathe into the sides of the ribs. Exhale, visualize the ribs coming back in. And try to feel your shoulder blades still connect to the ground as you inhale. And exhale. Good. Hands can come to your sides. We'll feel that triple S on the mat. Push into your big toes like you're pushing the ground away as you lift up into a low bridge. We'll stay low enough that our shoulder blades are still on the ground. Make sure your front ribs haven't popped up, but we're just holding those ribs so they're right over the pelvis. Bring your hands into your fists with your elbows right along the sides of your body and dig your elbows into the ground. And then release that a little bit. Dig your elbows down into the ground and notice if your ribs have popped up. Keep the ribs out of it. So keep those ribs in. Release one more time. So we're digging the elbows down, but we're restraining the ribs from doing the movement. So it's just that dig of the elbows. Our shoulder blades are kind of squeezing in a little bit. Release. Let's stay in our bridge. Reach that left palm up. Take your right fingers, pull back, wrist extension stretch. Keep pushing into the big toes, working the glutes and the hamstrings. Keep that inhale into the ribs. Switch hands, right palm up. Let's pull back with the left fingers, wrist extension. Ground down through the feet like you're pushing the ground away. Check that your low back feels long. So tailbone is reaching towards your heels. Hands will come to your sides. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale and let the ribs come back in, slowly lower down 1 vertebra at a time until we feel that triple S, so that sacrum back on the ground. And let's grab our block, place it between the knees or the thighs at whatever width feels good. Depending on the block, it's probably going to be the thinnest, maybe the medium waist. We just want to feel it between the thighs. Hands come behind the head. Get the elbows in toward the head as much as you can. Now keep that low back on the ground. Take a breath in. Visualize that side-to-side expansion in the ribs. Exhale, visualize the ribs coming back in. And as the ribs come back in, pull the belly button down and lift off the shoulder blades. Gaze toward the block. Give it a little squeeze with the legs. Inhale to lower down. Breathing into the ribs. Exhale. Pull the belly button down. Lift off the shoulder blades. Let your head feel heavy so the back of the neck is long. Give that block a little squeeze. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift up. Hug the block. Feel your front ribs pull down a little bit. We'll turn the ribs 1 inch to the left, staying off that left shoulder blade. Take your right hand to the left side of the rib cage and draw that left side of the ribs in toward the center of the body. Come back to center, hand behind the head. Inhale and lower. Exhale, lift up. Feel the front ribs pull down as you lift off the shoulder blades. Gaze toward the block, give it a little hug. Turn the ribs 1 inch to the right. Stay lifted off that right shoulder blade. Left hand comes over to the right side of the ribs. Draw in, and maybe that even lifts you up a little bit higher. Come back to center. Left hand behind the head. Inhale and lower. One more round. Exhale, hug the block and lift up. Feel those front ribs knit in toward each other a little bit more. Turn 1 inch left. Right hand grabs the left ribs. Drag in. Now stay here or take the right hand to the left elbow. Can you try to lift that left elbow up into the right hand? Good, come back to center, right hand behind the head, inhale and lower. Last one, exhale, lift up. Feel the belly button pull down, getting off the shoulder blades. Turn 1 inch to the right, stay off the right shoulder blade. Left hand comes to the right side of the ribs, drag it in towards center, stay here, or left hand to the right elbow. Can you lift that right elbow up a touch higher? Come back to center, left hand behind the head, inhale and lower. Take a big breath in and out. Let's release it. We'll make our way to the front of the mat in quadruped. Setting up for quadruped, let's make sure the shoulders are right over those wrists, and then walk those knees in a little bit closer than you might think so that they're right under the hips. Now we want to feel that the back of the neck is long, so the hairline right where your skull meets the neck, that's going to lift up toward the front of the mat as the chin slightly lowers down. So we don't want the ears dropping below the shoulders. Let's hold really strong in both arms. Reach your left arm forward and rest your left pinky on the ground. So our left palm is facing in. We'll work a little shoulder flexion. So that's when we reach the arm up overhead. All you're going to do is lift this left pinky up. Maybe it lifts half an inch, 2 inches. It's probably small. And then with control, lower that left pinky back down. Left pinky lifts up. This is some upward rotation of the left shoulder blade and shoulder flexion. But hold that right arm really still. So if you feel like you're wiggling around in that right shoulder or upper back, we might need to make this movement in the left arm a little bit smaller and really think, support yourself with your core to keep that triple S. This time, as the left pinky comes down, we'll thread it under the right arm, any amount for a little thread the needle, thoracic rotation. Push into that right hand, come back up. Thread the left arm under again. We're going to do that one more time after this. Push into the right hand, come back up. Strong in that right arm. Thread the left arm. This time, hold wherever you are. You could be up high. You could be down lower. Breathe into the ribs, front, side, and back. Push into that right hand to get you back up to quadruped. Let's do that on the right side. Align the spine as if you had a broom taped behind your back, touching the back of your skull, shoulder blades, and sacrum. Right arm reaches forward with the pinky on the ground, palm facing in. Hold that left shoulder really still. Reach the right arm forward and back down. Reach it up and lower the pinky down with control. Make sure you're not feeling this movement come from anywhere else. So keep the ribs from moving. Keep the lower back from moving. As if we could balance a glass of water on our lower back right now. We're just moving the right arm, right shoulder. And this time the right pinky comes down. Let's thread it under toward the left. Whatever amount feels good, turning in the mid and upper back. Push into the left hand, come back up. Thread it under again, turning the ribs. Come back up one more time after this. Thread the right arm under and hold wherever you are. Breathe into the ribs, front, side, and back, as if you could breathe right into that right shoulder blade. Push into that left hand to get you back up to quadruped, and we'll lower onto our forearms for forearm quadruped. Recheck the neck. We want to make sure it's not dropping below the shoulders, so lift the front of the throat up. But let's let those shoulder blades move. So again, we'll try to keep the low back pretty still. Push your forearms into the ground like you're lifting your chest away from the ground. Now let the chest lower down toward the ground. Push the ground away like you're trying to lift your sternum away from your yoga mat. And then draw the chest down toward the mat. One more time. So as we push those forearms into the ground, our shoulder blades spread away. That's protraction. And as we draw the chest back down, our shoulder blades draw in toward each other. That's retraction. And then we'll just find that starting position somewhere in between, spreading apart and squeezing in. Feel your ribs lift up toward your body. So our ribs are lifting away from the mat right now as we tuck the toes. Push into the hands and the forearms. Let's hover the knees, lift up the hips into a dolphin. You can walk the feet way in. Knees are going to be super bent here so that we can really lift the hips, lengthening the spine in dolphin. Lower the knees with control. And we'll either take a child's pose, sitting the hips back any amount, or staying on the forearms here and staying higher in the hips like a puppy pose. So wherever you are, let's check in with the breath. Feel the ribs lift up and away from the ground, just like we did in that dolphin pose. Breathing into the side and back ribs. Let's come out of child's pose. We're going to make our way to the front of the mat for our sun salutation 1. Let's check in with our triple S at the front of the mat. Push down into those big toes. You can have the knees soft. Let's picture that broom behind our back here. Would it touch the back of our skull, shoulder blades, and sacrum? Reach the arms forward and up. Fingertips are going to reach way up toward the ceiling. Bend the knees, hinge forward at the hips. Hands can come to blocks or to the ground. We'll step the right foot back, lower the knee, the top of the foot. We're heading into our 90-90 low lunge. Check in, draw those pelvic points in, firm this right glute. Hands will come to the back of the head, so right around the base of the skull with your thumbs down so that your thumbs are kind of behind the ear, behind the jaw. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, lift the hairline up as the chin slightly lowers down. So we're just finding a more neutral position of the neck. It might feel a little bit like a double chin, that's all right. Keep that feeling and that length in the back of the neck as the hands plant down. Left foot steps back to meet the right, plank pose, and we'll lower the knees. Re-lift the throat so the ears haven't dropped below the shoulders. Keep that feeling of buoyancy and lightness in the neck as you lower the rest of the way down. Low cobra. Inhale, feel the palms drag back. Keep the pubic bone down. Tuck the toes. Press the hands into the mat. Lift the hips. Walk the feet in. Down dog. Take a breath here. Breathe into the ribs. As you exhale, we'll step the right foot forward. You can always lower both knees to quadruped first. Right foot steps forward. Let's lower the left toes. 90-90 low lunge on the other side. Zipper that pubic bone up. Ears right over the shoulders. Hands come to the base of the skull. Thumbs down toward the jaw or toward the ear. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, lift the base of the skull up toward the ceiling as you slightly draw the chin down. So the back of the neck just got a little bit longer. We might have gotten a little bit taller. Keep that length in the neck as the hands come forward, either to the ground or to blocks. Left foot steps forward to meet the right, bent knee forward fold. Push the ground away as you rise up. Shoulder blades reach up. Bend the knees. Exhale, hinge forward with that feeling of a broom behind your back. Left foot steps back. Lower the knee, but not the toes. 90-90 low lunge here. Pause to check that triple S. Left glute is firm. We're going to bring our right hand to the sternum, so right at the center of the chest. Left hand is going to come to our ribs. Get that left hand on the highest ribs you can comfortably touch. Let's take a huge breath into the ribs. As you exhale, lift the sternum up slightly and just keep your hands on your ribs so that the ribs don't lift up with the sternum. The ribs stay down and we lift the chest a little bit, opening the chest. Keep that feeling of the chest open, the ribs in as we lower the hands, plank pose. Right foot steps back to meet the left. Lower the knees and pause. Buoyant neck, chest is open just like it was in low lunge. Lower down as you exhale. Untuck the toes. Feel the palms drag backwards. Zipper the pubic bone to the belly. Keep the ribs from popping. Tuck the toes. Exhale. Lift. Weight stays in the hands as we walk the feet forward for down dog. Breathe into the ribs. Press into the fingers. As you exhale, your left foot is going to step forward into low lunge. You can always lower the knees first, then step that left foot forward. Right toes stay tucked under, low lunge. Pause here. Pelvic points draw in, tailbone is reaching down. Left hand to the sternum, right in the middle of the chest. Right hand on the highest ribs you can touch. Inhale, breathe into the ribs. As you exhale, let the chest and the sternum lift up a little bit, but keep the ribs from popping. So our hands are just holding the ribs in place. Keep that open chest, long spine. As you hinge forward, hands come to the ground or to blocks. Right foot steps forward to meet the left. Bent knee forward, fold, push the ground away, reach the arms forward and up.